After failing to sell enough of Mecca's product, Noma's associates threatened Tariq, Braden, Effie, and Kane in the third episode, titled Human Capital. If they don't bring $1 million in cash to their next appointment, the associate threatens to pursue their loved ones. This compels the group to devise a fresh strategy to move the product along as quickly as feasible. Tariq and Braden create a website that enables employees of the Weston family business to purchase the product anonymously and have it assembled so that it can be smuggled into the company's building. To fill his position, Kane and Drew decide to take out a significant city connection. Finally, Effie is now selling product at Stansfield with Tariq's approval. The group's plan appears to be on track at this point, but they are unaware that walls are closing in on them as a result of Cooper Sacks, Jenny Sullivan, and Blanca Rodriguez's probe. Because Braden is the only white child and won't be linked to the Tejada family, Kane uses him to kill the Russian connection. Although he agrees to do it, Braden again backs out when it's time to finish the task, leaving Tariq to handle the situation. Kane finds himself in a difficult situation as a result of people accusing him of starting the shooting because they thought he was Tariq, which would not have occurred if Braden had followed instructions. After failing to accomplish the mission as instructed, Kane holds Braden at gunpoint. He permits Braden to leave, but only on the condition that he understands he will ultimately have to commit a murder because he still owes Kane a body. Right now, Kane is genuinely feeling like himself. Kane succeeded in taking control of the family business after a protracted campaign to ascend to the top that included both respectful and disrespectful tactics. As soon as Kane realized Lorenzo was responsible for Zeke's death, he blackmailed him into handing over the empire. It was a very dishonorable way to handle the situation, particularly since Monette is still mourning and looking for the killer. However, in Kane's defense, Lorenzo dared him to track down Zeke's killer, and Kane did so. For a very long time, Lorenzo refused to give Kane the prized position of right-hand man because he believed that Kane wasn't ready for it. And in this episode, more than most others, we see just how unprepared Kane really is for the position. Kane is the group's muscle, but the position he so desperately desires requires brains, and he is unquestionably not that. Kane advises the Tejadas to eliminate a rival drug family that they have known since they were children. Even though it would accomplish their short-term objectives, they wouldn't have the resources to wage a battle in the city because it would draw too much attention to them. Fortunately, Drew, who has been Lorenzo's right-hand man for a while, offers a better strategy that entails eliminating the city's primary drug supplier so that the Tejadas can swiftly take over the role and move Noma and Mecca's leftover supply. We can assume that Kane will continue to be in control, and there's no telling what careless choices he'll make in the future as long as he has Zeke's murder to hang over Lorenzo. Drew was thankfully present to prevent matters from getting worse. While the NYPD and the federal government are putting pressure on Monette and the Tejadas as a whole, Monette has received a hint that they're up to something despite not knowing the exact nature of their probe. This is due to Detective Kevin Whitman's suspicion that Monette is to blame for Carrie Milgram's death, who was the late professor's erstwhile lover. He goes to any lengths to look into the crime, Monette and the Tejadas as a whole. He consequently becomes engaged in the RICO case that Jenny Sullivan and Blanca Rodriguez are trying to establish against Tariq, Davis McLean, and the Tejadas. The only thing Monette needs to do is keep quiet, avoid getting into trouble, and refrain from telling the NYPD or the government about the small and limited amount of evidence that is currently accessible. Unfortunately, she can't help but respond to Detective Whitman's insults, even when they reach levels that would be regarded as harassment, out of pride and tenacity. Nevertheless, as she struggles to defend herself, Monette spills some information that makes Detective Whitman grin because it could be used as evidence against her in the case he is attempting to put together. When Whitman comes around, Davis begged Monette to just keep silent, even joking that her words will land them in hot water. He turned out to be correct, so perhaps Monette will pay attention to his advice in the future before things get worse for her and her family.